After my brother died, Mom blamed me, then faced truth. I never thought one Friday night drive would carve a canyon through my family. We'd fought before like all families do, but this was different. This was loss, grief, and blame knotted together, until no one could breathe. That night started like any other. My brother Daniel was always restless, the kind of guy who hated sitting still. He was 2 years older than me, full of energy and always had the last word in an argument. He was home from college for a weekend, and like always he wanted to do anything other than sit on the couch. "Let's grab food," he said, bouncing his car keys in his palm. Mom had just cooked dinner, but Daniel wasn't the type to settle. "Come on, fast food is calling our names. Let's hit the road before it gets too late." I shook my head. "We literally just ate, plus it's raining." He grinned. "So what? Live a little." The thing about Daniel is, he had a way of making everything sound like an adventure. I rolled my eyes, but deep down I wanted to go. I grabbed my hoodie and followed him to my car. "I'm driving," I told him. He groaned but tossed me the keys anyway. We slid into the seats, music filling the car as the rain tapped against the windshield. It wasn't pouring, just a steady drizzle, the kind that made the streets shine under the streetlights. We joked about songs, teased each other about our terrible singing, and for a moment it felt like nothing bad could ever touch us. We never made it to the drive. At the intersection near the old post office, the light turned green. I eased forward. I swear I looked both ways. But then headlights. Too fast. Too close. And then impact. The sound still lives in my skull. The metallic crunch, the shattering glass, the scream I'm not even sure was mine. The other car hit us on Daniel's side, spinning us like a toy. My head slammed the steering wheel, airbags burst, smoke filled the air. I reached for Daniel, his body slumped against the door, blood pooling from a gash above his temple. "Daniel, wake up." My voice cracked, raw with terror. Sirens came fast. Red and blue lights blurred with the rain. Paramedics pulled me out, my legs wobbling, chest tight. I kept shouting for my brother, but their voices drowned me out. "Stay back. Let us work. Stay back." At the hospital, everything became sterile and slow. Nurses pushed me into a bed, checked my vitals, stitched my forehead, but my eyes kept darting to the hallway, waiting for someone to say he was okay. Hours passed. The smell of antiseptic clung to me like guilt. Finally a doctor stepped in. His eyes told me before his mouth did. "I'm so sorry." Daniel was gone. The words didn't make sense. Gone where? He was 22. He was supposed to graduate, to travel, to annoy me for years to come. But the doctor's lips kept moving, explaining head trauma, internal bleeding, nothing they could do. When Mom arrived, her sobs shook the wall. She collapsed into the chair beside my bed, face buried in her hands. I reached for her, whispering, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." At first, she clung to me, her grief wild and unfiltered. But soon the questions started. "Why were you driving? Why did you let him go? Why didn't you see the car?" Every sentence was a knife. In the weeks after the funeral, silence filled the house. Daniel's room stayed shut, his laundry basket still half full, his sneakers by the door. Mom drifted through the halls like a goat. At first I thought grief would bring us closer. Instead it split us. One night at dinner, she finally snapped. "You should have stopped him. You should have told him no. You should have seen that car coming." I dropped my fork. "Mom, it wasn't my fault. That driver was The police even said." Her eyes burned. "Don't hide behind excuses. You were behind the wheel. You're alive and he isn't. That's all I need to know." Her words punched the air from my lungs. I stumbled to my room, closed the door, and cried harder than I had at the funeral. Because part of me believed her. Maybe I should have fought harder. Maybe I should have stayed home. Maybe she was right. But in the quiet hours of the night, when the house was still, I replayed everything in my mind. The light was green. My speed was steady. I had checked both ways. The other car flew through the red, swerving headlights like daggers. Still, doubt ate me alive. At school, whispers followed me. "That's the kid whose brother died." Teachers offered pity. I didn't want. Friends texted less, as if my grief was contagious. I walked the halls like a shadow, my headphones blasting just to drown out the silence. At home, Mom barely looked at me. If she spoke it was clipped cold. "Take out the trash. Dinner's on the stove." Never my name. Never warmth. Weeks turned into. I sank into guilt, convinced I was both victim and culprit. Every time I saw Daniel's photo on the mantel, his goofy grin, I whispered apologies. Then one rainy evening, nearly 3 months after the crash, Mom knocked on my door. Her face was pale, she held something small in her hand. "I found this," she said, voice trembling. It was a flash drive. I frowned. "What is it?" "The police dropped off evidence earlier. Dash cam footage. From the intersection." My throat closed. Evidence. Proof. Or maybe confirmation that everything was my fault. Mom set the drive on my desk and left without another word. I sat frozen, the little piece of plastic staring back at me like it carried my fate. My hands shook as I reached for it, plugged it into my laptop. A video file blinked onto the screen. I hesitated, heart pounding in my ears. If I pressed play, the truth would be right there. No more doubts. No more hiding. I took a breath, clicked the file, The screen lit up with the rainy intersection, headlights glowing in the dark. My car waiting at the light. Daniel's laughter faint in the background. The light turning green, my car inching forward. And then, the image of the other car barreling through the red light, swerving wildly. My stomach lit. But before I could watch more, before I could exhale relief, Mom's voice rang out from the hallway, sharp and cutting. You should have stopped. She had been watching from the doorway, her face twisted with pain and anger. And for the first time, I wondered, would even the truth be enough to heal her blame? If your parent blamed you for something beyond your control, would you fight back or stay silent? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. The dashcam file played on my laptop, the glow washing over my trembling hands. The video didn't lie. The other car had roared through a red light like it was chasing demons. My speed was steady, my turn deliberate, my eyes scanning the road. I hadn't been reckless. I hadn't failed Daniel. But Mom's voice still pierced through from the hallway. You should have stopped. Her grief had twisted into blame, so deeply, that even proof felt like a threat to the version of the story she'd built to survive. I slammed the laptop shut, chest heaving. Mom, did you even see the video? She stepped into the room, arms crossed, jaw rigid. I don't need to see it. He's gone. And you were driving. Her words were like ice, carving me hollow. I wanted to scream, to hurl the laptop at the wall, to demand that she see me, but instead I whispered, please, just watch it. She turned away, her silhouette framed by the dim hallway light. Not tonight. That night I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, the crash replayed, but now it had company. Mom's accusing glare. In my dreams, the headlights were her eyes, burning with judgment, bearing down on me, until I couldn't breathe. The next morning, I skipped breakfast and left the house before she woke. I drove aimlessly for hours, parking by the lake Daniel and I used to visit as kids. The water rippled with the breeze, gulls circling above, everything too calm for the chaos inside me. I thought about leaving, packing up, disappearing, sparing Mom the sight of me. Maybe then she'd. But when I pictured Daniel's laugh, the way he'd nudge me with his elbow when I overthought things, I knew he wouldn't want me to vanish. He'd want me to fight. That's when I made a decision. If Mom wouldn't watch the video willingly, I'd find another way. 2 weeks later, the toxicology report came back. A police officer called me, directly, confirming what I'd suspected. The other driver's blood alcohol concentration was running twice the legal limit. He shouldn't have been behind the wheel. I thanked the officer, printed the report, and tucked it into a folder with the dashcam footage. A fragile shield of truth, I prayed would break through Mom's grief. But timing was everything. I couldn't just shove the evidence in her face. I needed her in a moment of quiet, when her defenses cracked, when her love for me outweighed her pain. That moment came unexpectedly. It was a Tuesday night, storm clouds heavy above, thunder rumbling in the distance. Mom sat at the kitchen table, staring at a photo of Dan. Her fingers traced his smile like she could bring him back with touch alone. I slid into the chair across from her, folder in hand. My voice shook. Mom, I need you to see something. Her eyes flickered, wary. What now? I opened the folder, pushing the toxicology report toward her. The driver was drunk, twice the legal limit. It wasn't me. It wasn't Daniel. It was him. She didn't reach for the paper, reports, numbers, cold words on a page. They don't bring him back. I swallowed hard. No, they don't. But they clear me. Please, I can't carry your blame forever. Silence stretched. Rain pattered against the windows. Thunder echoing. Finally she picked up the report. Her eyes scanned the lines, lips trembling as she whispered the numbers aloud. Her hand shook as she set it down. Then I opened the laptop and pressed play. The dashcam replayed the scene. Our car waiting patiently. The green light. The drunk driver blowing through red. The sickening crash. Mom's hands flew to her mouth. A choked sob escaped. Oh my God. I let the video loop once more, forcing her to see. Her tears fell onto the table, each drop a crack in the wall she'd built around her grief. Finally she whispered, it wasn't you. My chest caved, relief and sorrow colliding. No, Mom, it never. She reached across the table, fingers clutching mine like a lifeline. For the first time since Daniel's death, her eyes softened, not full of blame, but of shared pain. We cried together, our grief messy and raw. She murmured apologies, admitting she'd been drowning in guilt, needing someone to blame, and I'd been the closest target. I told her I understood, even though the scars ran deep. Weeks later, healing didn't come in a flood. It took small steps, cooking dinner together, sorting through Daniel's things, sharing stories without collapsing. Sometimes she still snapped, but the evidence anchored us back to truth. Slowly we became a team again. One night, in the same kitchen where our wounds had ripped open, she whispered, I blamed you because I couldn't bear to blame myself. I let him leave. I didn't stop him either. I squeezed her hand. We both let him live his life. That's what he wanted. For the first time she nodded. Months later, the trial began for the drunk driver. I testified, voice steady, the dashcam and toxicology sealing the case. He was convicted. Justice wasn't sweet. It was bitter, but necessary. Afterward, Mom and I walked out of the courthouse side by side. She slipped her arm through mine. Fragile but real. He'd be proud of you, she whispered. And maybe, just maybe, she was right, because I'd carried the weight of blame for months. And now at last, I could set it down. If you were blamed by someone you loved for something beyond your control, would you forgive them once the truth came out? Or would the wound be too deep? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.